Jamari.
What's going on YouTube?
Washington.
This is Jamari for here once again. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Jamari for here once again. And we are here to talk about this latest episode of Queen Sugar. Now, I did get to watch it last night as it aired because I was over some friend's house, and baby, it was a long night. It was a long night. We was out and we had a good time. So finally got a chance to watch it today, and this was another great episode. It seemed like it was an episode a lot about sort of self-discovery, sort of like emotional healing in a lot of places. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So instead of necessarily going scene by scene, we'll just discuss, just some general things that occurred during the episode or different themes. So Ralph Angel got this loan for his soybean crop, which is good. But one thing that he noticed is that, as he's out there with one of the farmers, they have, I guess they're called white flies all over their sugarcane. And apparently, it seems like, now that I think about it, it seems like there's always something wrong with this stuff. It feels like last time there was like some kind of fungus or something that was breaking apart the sugarcane before. Now they got these white flies. It's like, dang, y'all always got something going on with y'all stuff. But, so they got the white flies on the sugarcane. He calls Charlie and says, basically, we need to be able to wash these leaves and get it sprayed down. And she's like, well, how much is that going to cost? And it was going to cost about $5,000. And so she's like, well, you know what? Get the spray, what have you. I'll pay for it. It is what it is. So she does that. Now, at the same time, Charlie is trying to find a rental property so she can move out of, the Baudelaire house. So her and Micah can have their own place. So he can be closer to, where he's going to school. So she's getting this meal together. She's getting this whole Queen Sugar meal together. And she gets a call. And apparently the property that she was initially looking at is no longer available. The realtor or the guy just decided that he didn't want to move anymore. So the realtor wants to show her a different property. And, Remy is with her. And so she asked, Remy to come along, give a second opinion on the house and what have you. Since they were going to have, dinner and whatnot anyway. So she says, just come on by, help me look at the house. So they're looking at the house and, you can kind of tell, like, Remy is just a down home, like, real simple, like, don't need a lot to really make him happy type guy. Like, he's real down to earth like that. And she brought him to this huge, I don't even know if it was a house, a loft, an apartment. I'm really not sure what it was, but whatever it was, it looked nice. And he's looking around, you can kind of tell he's uncomfortable. And so she's saying, oh, there's this home theater. Oh, there's this, what have you, master bedroom, guest bath, or something like that. And, that's when she gets the call and says, about the sugarcane. And when they do finally go out to eat afterwards, Remy kind of explains to her, like, all this is great, but if you want people to view you as, being for the people, seeing you live grand and seeing you do all this other stuff kind of makes you feel like, disconnected in a way. And Charlie felt like, well, there shouldn't be anything wrong. If you work hard, you'll be able to reap, the benefits of, what you're working for. And honestly, with this discussion, I can see both sides, and really neither side is wrong for what they feel, because a part of me feels like, well, there is kind of a disconnect. If you're dealing with people who live a certain way and you're telling them what to do, and then you're kind of just over here living, you're not really connected with them. You're not really down with where they are. You're not really having that, level of communication. It can kind of come off as disconnected and just, like you're better than them, I guess. But at the same time, if I was Charlie, or if I was really anybody where I had built this life for myself and I had invested in myself to where I could do these things, I'm doing them. Because I feel like I have earned the right to do so. Now, I understand that he feels like it does look a certain way, even though it may not necessarily be the case. Where she's, doing this for her son, she's trying to give her son a sense of a way of life that he's used to because of what's happened to him recently. She wants to try to make him as comfortable as he can. Apparently, the property is getting closer to where he's going to school, and she just wants to make it the most comfortable for Micah. So this is where things start to hit the fan. So as we know, Micah's been sort of processing still what happened to him at the police, and in combination of that to his parents' divorce and just all these things that he's dealing with right now at a younger age, he's kind of on edge. So him, Charlie, and Ralph Angel are all sitting around the table trying to discuss how they're gonna handle this white fly situation with the crop. And Blue comes from behind and kind of jumps on Micah, trying to play with him. It would look like one of his dolls or dinosaurs or whatever, one of his toys. And Micah kind of jumps back and kind of elbows him in the face. Now, it's hard to tell, or at least they tried to make it look like he elbowed him out of just like frustration, but it kind of seems like he did it just out of like reflex, to be honest. But at the same time, you could tell like after he did it, his face kind of showed like irritation. So Blue is crying, Blue's on the floor crying, and of course, whenever Blue cries, Ralph Angel gets buck. So he done hemmed Micah up to the wall while Charlie's over there trying to coddle Blue, and she's like, get off my son, get off my son. And Ralph Angel still looks at Micah like, if you ever touch my son again, we're gonna have problems. And of course, Charlie gets up, gets in front of him, moves him out the way, and of course now Ralph Angel has an attitude because his son is crying. He picks his son up, goes to the room. Charlie tries to look at Micah. Micah storms off, pissed off, and she's just like, she's just like, oh my god, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this actually happened. So she tries to go to him and apologize for what happened, but she tried to make it kind of seem like you of all people should understand what Michael's going through with the police, and Ralph Angel's like, how can you compare his 4 hours to being in custody to my 4 years of being in actual prison? But at the same time she was trying to say like at least have some compassion basically, but he's just like, what, granted it may have been an accident, but it doesn't make it right. So now they've had this whole tiff about each other because now Charlie's frustrated with Rob. Well, they call him Rob, which is short for Ralph Angel, which is going to be much easier. So Charlie has an issue with Rob because she thinks that he's trying to get her out of here, trying to push her out by being too bougie, and Ralph Angel has a problem with Charlie because Charlie's pretty much still bossing him around, telling him what to do, when he kind of has this little secret note that he found from his father that basically the whole farm is supposed to be left in his name, him and Blue's name, but he hasn't told his sisters about it. So they realize that after they've done all this spraying for the crop, right, they realize that they have to actually wash all the acres of cane by hand. And I'm just like, oh my god, this that's what they have the most problems with this crop. I swear I do not understand it. So Ralph Angel calls Darla while she's at work, and he asks, hey, I need you, can you come? And she's not supposed to be on the phone. Darla's working the, like the traffic booth that they do, like toll roads or entrance ways or what have you. And she's not even supposed to be on the phone. So he asks, like, hey, can you come? I need you. She looks around and sees her boss coming, and she says she'll see what she can do. Of course, his boss gets pissed off. She's like, I'm not paying you to have personal phone calls. And she's like, well, it's kind of an emergency. And he's like, oh, like, is it something dealing with your son? This is where Darla messed up. This is honestly where Darla messed up, because when he asked you, or at least to me, it sounded like when he asked you, "Is it about your son?" If you had said yes, he probably would have let you go. Honestly, he probably would have let you go. But you said no, it's with my boyfriend, and he's like, "No, that's not enough. That's not enough. I'm not, paying you. You can deal with your personal issues outside of your shift." And we just see her just kind of like looking around trying to figure something out. It was then I knew that she was about to make a mistake, and she was gonna end up leaving her job anyway, and she was gonna end up being fired. I knew it. Because once she wait, where you at? Oh. Once she showed up at that cane, I'm like, I know she left when she wasn't supposed to leave. I knew it. But she comes. They're giving the whole instruction on how they're going to do the farm and how to properly clean the leaves and whatever. And you see Anvi comes by, and she's like, Ralph Angel, you want to take a break? I got some pies. Why don't you go in there and get a piece? You could tell that Ralph Angel has an attitude, okay? Because he's very short. He's kind of cutting her off. He's like, I'm not going to do it till we're done. And, Charlie comes, and you can kind of tell that there's just tension between them. And Anvi asks, I thought you guys were getting along. And he says that, she still treated me a certain way, and she doesn't know that I found this letter by our father that said that he left the whole house to me in blue. So she shows Anvi the letter, and Anvi basically is like, look, if you let this come out, and if you try to take this farm and the whole property of this away from them, that in court it's going to get ugly, basically. And he just wants to make sure that you're going to be willing to fight that fight when it comes, okay? Like I said, if your mouth and your pride is going to let you write this check, you better be able to cash it. Because you can only imagine how, like, Charlie, after investing all this money, all this money, and of course, Nova doing what she does, and you to tell them that secretly it's all mine, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be very petty. And you know that Charlie can be petty because of how she goes with Davis. So she's like, look, I wouldn't recommend it, but do what you want to do. So even though they've had this tension, and I like this scene a lot because, let me move that out the way. I like this next scene a lot because it shows that even through, petty fights back and forth, at the end of the day, we're still family. Because the Landrys, or I forget what their other last name that they have, doesn't really matter. The people who were trying to steal from them, apparently, if you remember last week, I believe it was last week, when they had some people they hired people to go to their farm, steal some of their cane in the middle of the night, okay? Never mind the fact that they've had drones flying around. Ralph Angel, seeing somebody on his property, decided to get a gun. He didn't shoot at them, but he shot in the air as a warning shot. So their petty behinds decide to file a complaint because they know that Ra's on patrol. He's on parole. That's not patrol. That's what I meant to say, parole. So he's on parole, and so they're going to try to say, they're going to file complaints about gunshots on his property, when they know that it was they're the reason why he's even firing the gun in the first place. It's not that he fired at them either. So he was actually every right because they were on his property. But of course, they're going to try to work the system to work against Ralph Angel because they know that he's, in trouble. So the cop comes to his house and says, we've had files of complaints of gunshots whenever, and we're, here to say that you've been in violation of your parole, that you can't be in the house with weapons, this, that, and the fourth. And so she said, do you have weapons on the property? And Charlie covers for him and says, the weapon was my father's. This is his land. Okay, it belongs to me. And I keep it hidden. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. And Ralph Angel's like, I didn't even know the gun was there. And Charlie says, I'm leaving. He doesn't have to worry about him being in the house and about him being in the same house. I'm going to be leaving anyway. I'm going to take it with me. And she, puts this whole small banter about, I don't know how you guys be out here with all these snakes and rats. And I'm just trying to protect myself. I'm scared. And the cop buys it and they leave. So I guess he gets off with a warning or whatever. And, Ralph Angel says, thank you. I really do appreciate that. And she says that no matter what you think of me, I'll always have your back. And I really like that scene because I feel like, a lot of times we let petty arguments and just petty differences between like close friends and especially family, get in between the fact that at the end of the day, I have you, you have me, and we're supposed to have each other's back. So I'm glad that, the show pushed that ideal forward. Great job. So because, the fact that Charlie helped him out with his parole situation inspires Ralph Angel to then go and talk to Micah and apologize about, what happened with him getting hemmed up against the wall. And basically says, I've been through a lot of stuff. If you ever need anybody to talk to about how to get through certain things, I'm here. And he says, I appreciate that. And he tries to tell Ralph Angel that, I apologize for, hitting Blue. It was an accident. He said, you tell him that. It's better for you to apologize directly to the person instead of indirectly. So Micah, comes to him and says, I apologize. I appreciate you letting me share your room with you and this, that, and fourth. And he gets him, it looks like one of them little, I can't remember what it's called, the little doodle boards where you can, like dry erase boards or something, so he can, create and decorate all his stuff like he wants to. And it was a touching moment. So they said, I'm never going to hurt you again. I want you to remember that. And like I said, another great ideal portrayed in the show, where is if you've done wrong and you've accepted that you've done wrong, it's good to you go directly to that person and directly apologize and mean it, instead of just kind of blowing it off. So that was really good. However, before I mention this last scene, I want to talk about Hollywood has been visiting Vi at the, since he's going to be staying here, he comes and he fixes stuff whenever he has a chance to come. So now since he's living here again, there's nothing else for him to really fix. So he's getting kind of bored around the house. He visits her at work and kind of looks at her and watches how she works and sees that even though, the job, is the job that she wanted, she wanted to be a manager before. Now that she has it, she's kind of noticing that she's not really happy and that, she's, kind of working around looking really frantic. And he says that I don't think that that's, that's love or that's passion. And she tried to say, that's the face of determination. And he asks her a question that I think is really important that I had to kind of ask myself as I was watching this. He says, what does your dream look like? Like if you had your life the way that you wanted it to be, what would it look like? And she said, well, making people happy, with my food, basically owning my own business. And he's like, well, why don't you go and do that? It's not, you have the talent, you have the experience, go for it. And that's definitely, I feel like something that a lot of us need to ask ourselves. Like those of you watching, like if you ask yourself, what does your dream look like? Are you currently living in your dream? Is there something that you want to accomplish in life but haven't done it yet, basically? And if not, why not? I think it's definitely a great motivational tool. And it was a great episode. This is a great question. So hopefully she, acts on that and decides to open her own business, maybe selling pies or something. He said that she looks so much happier cooking in her own kitchen as opposed to dealing with the high yellow restaurant. So that's really good. Wait, let me get that out of the way. So the last scene, which is really hurtful, is that even though I saw it coming, as we said, Darla gets back to work. I guess she's showing up for her shift. And her boss is showing up and saying, this is your final paycheck, you're fired. And, she tries to say, please, this job is part of my recovery. And, I really need this. And she said, and the guy said, part of your recovery is taking responsibility for your actions. You decided to leave when I told you not to, so you're fired. And honestly, I can't blame the boss because, his job, his rules, and he did warn you. He told you that you cannot, if you have to handle something like that, you have to do it after your shift. And I told you, Darla, had you just said it was an emergency with your son, something, his father called and said something happened to him, I need to go see about my child, he probably would have let you go. You could have lied. I know I didn't want to, promote lying, but you could have lied. You could have saved your job. And if you already said no, it's for my boyfriend, and he warned you, you shouldn't have left. Rough Angel would have understood. You shouldn't have left. My God. But I know she's sitting there crying because I know she was trying to, use that paycheck to help put Blue in like swimming classes and things. And I don't know. Hopefully it bounced back. It looks like from the previews that she gets another job, so that's good. But that was this episode of Queen Sugar. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Unfortunately, next week I'm not going to be able to post a review because I'll be leaving out of town that day. And I won't be back until the following Monday. So there won't be any video next week. But thank you guys so much for watching. I know I got a lot of new subscribers, and I appreciate you guys for coming. And there's also going to be a new animated horror story film. The guy who does those cartoons uploaded a new video recently, so we're going to react to that. And I hope you guys sit back. Look out for that one to be the next video that'll come. If not today, it'll be tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching again, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe.
Jamar, Washington, Washington.